guys, Jim here with Savage Shooters. Today I'm bringing you a review of one of the new for 2018 models. Here before me is the new Model 110 Storm. This is the replacement for the old Weather Warrior series, and it features the new AccuFit stock system. If you haven't been paying attention on the website the last week or so, we've released a lot of videos on there that Savage put together and put out as part of their promotional kit that features or depicts all the features and niceties of this new AccuFit system, as well as a lot of the new models that are going to be coming out in the new redesigned 110 series. Where to start here? I guess I'll say up front, I'm not going to do a demonstration of changing out the cheek pieces or the length of pole spacers. The reason for that is because we already have a video on the website that Savage put together that shows that process, and I will be including that video in the written article, so it will be available there. What I do want to talk about though is the benefits of the system. One gripe that I've had with pretty much every bolt action rifle on the market, even some lever actions and other rifles on the market these days, and mostly for the last 10 years or so, is that the stock design, meaning the drop-it comb, does not match the rifle that the stock is fitted to. A perfect case in point is the Henry Long Ranger that I recently received for review from Henry Repeating Arms. It has a straight grip stock, a lot of drop at the comb. I did get the open sight model, and the comb height for the open sights is perfect. So no complaints on that regard, but it also comes with scope bases, and when you mount a scope on it, the comb is noticeably too low. And I basically have to lift my head clear up off the stock, no cheek weld whatsoever, to be able to see through a scope with the lowest possible rings. So that is not good. That is a classic fitment issue. And it goes across the board, all brands, all models. And that is what this new AccuFit system addresses. As you can see here laid up before you, we've got all the different options for the comb height and the length of pole spacers. Right now, on the rifle, I have the middle of the 5 comb pieces on the gun, as well as the 1-inch length of pole spacer. The length of pole is adjustable from 12.5 inches with no spacers up to 14 inches with the 1-inch and a 1/2-inch spacer. Savage does include 4 sets of screws to accommodate the different spacer lengths. If you need longer than a 14-inch length of pole, you can stack the spacers out further, but you will need to source a longer set of screws because basically the 1-inch and 1/2-inch are the maximum for the longest set of screws they have. The comb height goes anywhere from a flat comb, which would give you a 1-inch drop-it comb, with risers bringing it up to a 1/2-inch drop-it comb, and they are in 1/8 inch increments. It actually works out pretty well. I was able to notice, I started out, I think I had the second one here on, was a little low. I jumped up to this one, it wasn't quite right. And like Goldilocks, the one right in the middle was the perfect one for me. So, but it is a trial and error process. The length of pole is a little easier to determine, but your comb height is going to be a trial and error thing. You're going to have to put one on, put the butt pad back on with the spacer, tighten everything down, throw it up, see how it feels. The one big thing I will recommend with both the length of pole and the comb height is that you check it in the position you plan on shooting from and with your scope already mounted to the rifle. Your base height and ring heights are greatly going to affect how high of a comb you need, and your length of pole is going to vary depending on your shooting position. Are you down in a prone position? Typically prone, you're going to have a little shorter length of pull. Or you're shooting offhand where you're going to need a little longer length of pull. That's basically what you're going to get into there. As far as the rifle itself, it's pretty much standard Savage, no surprises. The function was perfect on it, fed great, ejected great, no issues there. Accuracy is proven to be very good, as expected for a Savage. The new stocks are actually very nice. They are a complete new design for 2018. It's not just a revamped old standard Tupperware stock or the old Accu stock. If I didn't mention it earlier, all the AccuFit stocks are Accu stocks, so they have the aluminum chassis embedded in them. Savage is also offering some models that are not AccuFit, but they have an adjustable length of pull. Those are not Accu stocks. They do not have the aluminum reinforcement. So just make sure you know that clarification when you're shopping. Okay, as well as all the adjustability with the new AccuFit stock system, Savage also updated to an all-new stock design for 2018. It's a much more edgy, modern design to it. It has a very, very nice feel in the hands. In the past, I never really cared much for the grip area. This is much better. On the old stocks, I always felt the forend was a little thin. They're just a touch thicker, but they do recess here where the rubber grip panels are. So you have a little fuller feel in the belly, but you still have a narrow up top, so you're not adding bulk, which is very nice. There's some styling lines on the front face of the grip and up here on the forend. As I mentioned, they have the grip panels on the grip and up on the forend just for a little extra texture and grip when wearing gloves when you're out hunting. It's not obtrusive or anything like that. You don't really notice it, but it does add some nice needed traction. Works better than traditional press checkering. What else? Standard sling swivel studs. New trigger guard, that's a big thing. It is the bottom bolt release, but they have made the button, at least it looks like it to me, they made it a little bigger, taller top to bottom, and there's no dish in it now, so that it should be a little easier to manipulate. I know a lot of you guys really hate the bottom bolt release. I'm pretty much indifferent on it. Alright, so now that we've got all that out of the way, I'm sure you're wondering about the accuracy of the rifle. Accuracy was kind of a mixed bag, but I really don't blame the rifle because my second day out shooting, I just had some really horrible conditions. It was 15 degrees below zero with the wind chill, windy, and the shooting benches were all covered with a sheet of ice. So basically my front rest and rear bag were sliding all over the place every time the rifle recoiled. But nevertheless, we have targets. My first day out, it was sunny and 50 degrees, so we actually got some good groups. These were shot with the Hornady American Whitetail 150 grain interlock loads. As you can see, they did fairly well there. Got 2 1/8 inch up at the top. I pulled one of them. 1 1/4 inch, 5/8 in the center, 13/16 in the bottom left, and 7/8 on the bottom right. Not too bad. Again, factory gun, factory ammo. Here are some more groups with the same Hornady American Whitetail ammunition. Up here in the top left, we have 5/8, 7/8 over on the top right, 7/8 in the center, and 9/16 on the bottom left. So that ammo shot very good. Like I said, that was 50 degrees, nice and sunny, nice calm day, ideal shooting conditions. At that point, I basically decided, well, I've got about 2.5 boxes of ammo through the rifle. Time for good cleaning, headed home. We had a nice winter snowstorm over the weekend, and the next week I went out and it was a nice cold, bitter -15 degrees. So get these in order here. All right. First up, we have some Federal Fusion. This is a 165 grain soft point style bullet. Up there at the top, we have 2 1/8 and 2½ inches. Down here at the bottom, I lost one of them off the paper. Then down here on the bottom right, we had 7/8 of an inch, which was the best group of this ammo. Another target, same Federal Fusion ammo, 1 3/4 inch, 5-shot group of 2 inches. Basically finished off the box there. 1 3/8 on the bottom left and 2 1/4 on the bottom right with one I pulled out. Again, a lot of these have pulled shots on them, and that was just me losing the fight with trying to keep the bag and rest still on that ice covered bench. Next up, we have Federal's new non-typical 150 grain ammunition. This didn't do too bad for the conditions. Again, I was still on the icy bench. Had 2 1/2 inches at the top, or 1 1/2 inches on top, 1 3/8, 2 inches, and 1 1/2 inches. Again, a couple pulled shots on there. Otherwise, they probably would have done a good bit better. Last target I've got here to share with you today. Got 1 3/4 on the top with 1 shot pulled, 4 1/4 on the bottom with 1 shot pulled clear up to the center. I knew that one as soon as I squeezed the trigger off. And 2 1/2 down the bottom, I pulled another one. And that was basically the last series of groups I shot for the day, just because, you know, I was losing the fight with the bench and the ice on the bags, and I was miserable and cold. You know, enough was enough. Alright guys, a few more targets for you here. These are the last 2 days of shooting after I recorded that other bit with the other targets. So I just wanted to share these with you here. Better conditions for these than we had on the other group with the ice covered bench and the sub-zero temperatures. Still though, had the inconsistency with I'd get 2 shots together and have 1 go out. So here we go, we'll get into this. First up, this was all off of a clean bore. Came out, started off with some Remington core lock 150 grain, shot 5 shots into a 2-inch group, basically just to foul up the bore. The Remington core lock has been averaging about 2 inches or so, so I really haven't bothered to shoot any more of it than what I shot on that first day. Next group down here, Federal non-typical 150 grain, 1 5/8 inch. I think it was still settling in a little bit there. Had 2 within about 1 inch, and then I pulled 1 a little bit to the right. Moving up top here, Federal non-typical again, 5/8 inch. Not a bad group, could be a little tighter, but I'll take it. You know, more of the Federal non-typical. We got a 1 3/4 inch, had 2 real nice together there, about a 1/2 inch, and then I pulled 1 up. Come over here, 2 1/2 inch, 2 right together, pulled 1. 1 3/8 inch, had 2 within about 1 inch there, and then I dropped that one down. And 7/8 inch, 2 right together, 1 little out. Like I said, story of the day, this one I just really pulled that shot out there, and it was, you know, no excuse, I screwed up. Let's see, more non-typical. 5/8 inch, 2 pretty much touching, 1 just a little out. 1 3/8 inch, 2 right together, 1 out. 2 inch, 2 right together, well, not right together, but within a minute of angle, and dropped 1. 1 7/8, 2 close together, pulled 1. 1 1/8, 2 right together, pulled 1. So yeah, I've got a consistency issue. It's on me. This is the Federal Fusion 165 grain at 100 yards. We got 1 3/8 inch, 2 right together, 1 out. 5/8 inch, two right together, one dropped down a little bit. 2 inch, two right together, really pulled one. And then over here, 2.5 inch. I'm thinking this is barrel was starting to get fouled. This here is getting about 40-45 rounds through the barrel. Two more groups with the Federal Fusion. 1 3/4, two together, pulled one. 1 3/8, two together, pulled one. So overall, I mean, the rifle showed that it wanted to shoot without a doubt. It wants to shoot better than I can shoot. So overall, what I decided to do, I fired over 200 rounds over the course of 4 days. Basically, that was cleaning the bore 4 times, so averaging about 50 rounds between cleanings. Since I had so many groups to where they were a really good group and I'd open it up with one shot, what I decided to do was just take the best 5 groups from each type of ammo and average them to get an aggregate for that ammo. That would rule out the human factor as best as possible, and I think would give a better representation of the accuracy potential of this rifle. So looking at that, the Federal Fusion, the best 5 groups averaged just over 1 inch. The Federal Non-Typical averaged just under 1 inch. The Hornady American Whitetail averaged just under 3/4 of an inch. And the Remington Core Locked brought up the rear as usual with a aggregate of just under 2 inches. So that pretty much does it for the accuracy and all the targets I shot. Alright guys, that's pretty much going to do it for the new Model 110 Storm in 30-06 from Savage Arms. I think Savage did a very good job on these for a minor redesign, as they want to call it. Basically, it's a new stock and trigger guard. The adjustability is going to be a big selling point for these rifles this year, and I think it will pull quite a few people from other brands just to get that adjustability. I don't know, Remington and Browning and Winchester, nobody else is offering this kind of adjustability on their bolt action centerfire rifles. So this will be unique to Savage for at least this year. I'm sure somebody will copy it going into next year or in the near future. Everything on it works very well, just as it's designed to do. I really like that Savage includes all the options in the box with the gun. There's nothing extra to buy, which with the Ruger Americans, how they have the interchangeable, I think it's on the Ruger, the American rimfires, they have the changeable comb height and length of pull between an adult and a compact size. You have to buy that separately. So here Savage is giving you all the options right in the box with the rifle, and it's coming in cheaper than it was last year without the adjustments. So that's another big plus. So kudos to Savage on that one. The accuracy is right there. I know some of my groups didn't show it, but that was me losing a fight with the ice, not the gun's fault. It provided plenty of groups that were, you know, right in the MOA range to show it's capable of shooting good in small groups. Something I didn't touch on, and I'm not reviewing it in this instance, is the Bushnell Engage 6 to 24 power scope that Savage supplied with this rifle. This is the first opportunity I've had to play with one of the new Engage scopes. So far I am impressed. You know, the glass is very clear in it and everything seems to work as it should. But I really was focusing on the rifle itself, wasn't paying much attention to the scope other than looking through it and getting it zeroed. So later this year I plan to do a review on 1 or 2 of these new Engage scopes, so keep an eye out for them in the future. Alright guys, so that's going to do it. As always, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and be sure to stop by and visit us at savageshooters.com. We have a complete discussion forum as well as a ton of articles, tech tips, and product reviews there for your reading enjoyment. Until then, have a good one.